students are gone, but you are still here. And we know how you feel because you are done. But you have so much work to do to get ready for tomorrow. Good afternoon, podcast listeners everywhere. Welcome to After the Bell, a Stunt Brothers production. A podcast that gets inside the life of a teacher and provides a wellness guide for being prepared to take on this most challenging of professions. I'm Martin Stuvel.
And I'm Roy Hunt. And we share your pain, having taught a combined 70 years. The guarantee of this podcast is to make you laugh, make you think, and give you at least one little nugget that you can use in the classroom. So get out your marking, organize your supplies, or just pour yourself a coffee.
I want something stronger.
And listen, engage, and interact with After the Bell, a podcast for you, the hard-working, dedicated teacher who wants free lesson plans, free advice, and a free meal.
Okay, Roy, but I'm not paying for anything more than McDonald's. Well, there you go, Mr. Hunt. This is episode 53.
So season 2, episode 23?
Hey, your math is getting better. Well done.
Oh, thank you.
I tell you, I'm not getting better. I got this cold that doesn't seem to go, right?
Yeah, it's just hanging on for a while.
Just so arrogant when my wife kept bringing home things from the classroom. And look at me. My immune system's the best. Oh, and now look at me.
Wow.
So it's hanging on. So I'll let you do some talk and tell me. What have you been up to?
Well,
been in the class?
I've been in the classroom.
Okay.
I got called in. It was interesting because usually you can get a call the day before.
Yeah.
You can get something from the dispatch board. Mm-hmm. You can get a call in the morning at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Or later. But this call was like 20 after 8. School starts at, in most places like 9:40, 9:45.
9:40.
No, sorry,
Wow.
8:40. Yeah,
most places?
Yeah, 8:40,
Yeah,
8:45.
So
you're
like 20 minutes later.
Yeah, so you're like, what?
And you're still in bed at this?
And so they said, no, I was up.
Okay.
I have a morning regime that I go through, and I get ready. So I was ready. I wasn't mentally prepared to like dash.
No.
But, I was awake.
That's
and so
good,
they
though,
said,
yeah.
Can you come in? And I said, okay, I will. And it was not far from my house. So, I mean, it wasn't like I had to drive far. So, in fact, I walked. So I said, okay, I'll go. So I went to the school and I said hi. And they said, oh, we're so happy you were here. We did this last minute thing. And I said, no kidding, right?
You're on.
You're on. So I went to the classroom. And because it was a last minute thing, there was no day plan.
Oh.
Right? But I'm a professional.
You are.
I'm a
I've heard.
professional
I've
TTOC.
I've heard.
And so I went into the classroom and I looked at yesterday's day plan and I was able to cobble something together. And students came in and I said, this is what I have on the board. And it was grade 4 or 5 class. They were amazing,
Nice.
right? There's, they were helpful and they said, okay, this is what we normally do
We
this
do
time.
PE all day.
Yes.
Maybe afternoon art sometime.
We don't do that anymore, right? We don't do English in this class.
We go to computer lab for 2 hours. We play games.
Yes.
Very helpful class.
They're very helpful. Anyways, so I was able to cobble everything together. And then after recess, I saw that they had mathematics.
Okay.
And so I love mathematics, right? It's my jam,
yeah.
right? So I asked them, what do you do for mathematics? And, well, one of the students said, nothing.
We don't do math.
We don't do math in this class. I said, okay. And so I said, do you have textbooks? And they said, well, not enough for everybody. I go, what? And they said, well, we have some textbooks.
Journeys? Remember Journeys? People hoarded those.
Yes.
They were falling apart. Right? Graffiti over everything, no covers. But people were hiding their journeys so they could keep on teaching the Journeys way. I think principals had to sneak into the school at midnight to get rid of them.
To get them out. And then, I said, oh, do you use math make sense? And one of the students said to me, it doesn't make sense to me.
That's the problem. one extreme to the other.
Okay, so let me get this right.
Yes.
So you have math textbooks, you don't have enough for the whole class. I go, yes. I said, so what did you do yesterday? Oh, we had a handout. Oh, I said, what was it? Oh, it was a bunch of papers, and it was teachers pay teachers.
Yeah,
They're like,
people go there, don't they?
right?
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
okay. And I said, it was a multiplication, and I got maybe. You do the math. So I said, okay. So I just tried to figure out what strand they were on.
Right.
And I looked around the class. I was able to find some manipulatives. I found some dice. And so I know there's some games for, I off the top of my head, I know there's some games that I play this game called Pig, which I love, which is using dice and things like that.
Look at you go.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm going, well, what is a math program in elementary school?
It's all over the map now, I think, right? And teachers have been left so much on their own in terms of getting all the materials together to make it successful. And I think people are scrambling when it comes to a good math program.
Yes.
So I think maybe that should be our topic for this episode.
Wow, really? So you
we could just listen to you.
You listen to me. I could talk about math forever, but I'm
Let's go on.
I'm not an expert.
Let's go on a field trip.
A field trip.
I think we'll go on a field trip.
I love the idea of a field trip, and I think that instead of having our listeners listen to me, we'll go on a field trip. Why don't we go on a field trip to talk to a professor of mathematics?
Fun. A professor of mathematics.
So
nice.
In this field trip, we're going to visit a professor of mathematics from Capilano University, and her name is Lily Yen, Dr. Lily Yen.
And she heads up the SNAP program, I think, as well.
Yes,
She's
she does.
kind of pioneered that at Cap University, and both you and I have participated in that, taking our classes there. So we have experience with the results of her working with the students at Cap University. So I like it.
It's
I
a
like,
great
I like
trip.
field trip day, right? No
I know
homework
you
on
do.
field trip day.
No homework news, and
Right.
and I do the math.
There you go. You do the math, and we're all good. So
We're all good.
Let's hop on the bus and go on our field trip.
Okay.
What's that sound? What's that sound? And that's the sound of the homework board. And as I said earlier, we do not have homework, which makes me smile.
Yes.
We're going on a field trip.
On a field trip.
Tell us about our guest for our field trip.
Well, our guest is Dr. Lily Yen, a longtime mathematics educator who's taught mathematics and statistics at Capilano University since 2000. She is deeply passionate about mathematics education. Her journey began as a student in Canadian mathematics competitions and evolved through extensive outreach, including training the Canadian International Math Olympiad team. Didn't know we had one. Speaking at the 2004 International Congress of Mathematics Education in Copenhagen, and introducing the Snap Math Fair to Capilano University. Beyond academia, Dr. Yen brings her love of learning and creativity into her community through music, mentoring, gardening, baking, and a lifelong curiosity.
Nice, nice. Let's go.
I would like to start by asking if I know Dr. Yen. May I call you Lily?
Yes, please call me.
Thank you
Lily.
so much.
Excited to be here.
And we are very excited to be here. I've been planning a series of things on mathematics and talking about how to teach specific subjects in elementary schools. So this is very exciting. And I love mathematics too.
That's wonderful to speak with somebody who loves it.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to start with our ABC 1, 2, 3. I'm going to give you two choices, and you just, whichever one just you feel that, that's the choice I would make. All right, and if you don't know, you can say both.
Yeah,
All
you
right?
can. Yeah.
Right? All right. So A, algebra or baking?
Oh, baking.
Oh, okay. B, numbers or musical notes?
Musical notes.
Wow. C, research or lecture?
Research.
There you go. Nice.
Fantastic.
So now 1, 2, 3. Do you have a favorite teacher from your childhood that you can think of that pops
Yes.
into your mind when I ask that?
Yes.
Who is
yes.
it? Yeah.
My grade 5, 6 teacher in Taiwan was my favorite. And after I immigrated to Canada as a grade 9 student, I kept in contact with her through letters all the way until her death.
Oh, wow.
At age 92.
Wow.
And so that
Amazing.
the teacher was not only great at teaching us, she encouraged us in extracurricular activities.
Yeah.
And that was quite novel because Taiwanese education at that time was under tons of pressure for entrance exams and placing in great high schools. And all the teachers took music classes, exercise classes for academic reasons. But this teacher was different.
Yeah.
She let us do all the music classes, all the exercises, because she felt those were important.
Wow. That mirrors something that's happened to me recently. So my favorite teacher was my grade 4 and 5 teacher. I had her for 2 years. And I've recently reconnected with her. And I had a big get-together. It was 50 years ago I was in her class. And I had a get-together with some of her former students. I tracked them down, and we got together at my place. And she was a breath of fresh air. I think a lot of the other teachers had probably started teaching in the 50s. And it was more old school style.
Right.
You know, I stand at the front of the room. She was young, 24 years old, and just got us doing things. And she got me into writing that I still love to this day. So it was wonderful to be able to connect with her again.
Oh, yeah.
So number 2, is there a book that you've read in the last 10 years on any topic that really spoke to you? Is there a book that stands out? Like,
Yes. Yes, my mother was a child psychologist, studied that in order to teach her vocational school, high school students how to become good parents and good teachers. So she had all these psychology books at home, and I loved reading psychology books as a kid from her collection. And then recently I was introduced to this book, What Happened to You? Talking about resilience and healing by Dr. Bruce Perry, and Oprah Winfrey. Oprah.
Yeah.
And it was talking about how we should, instead of asking what's wrong with you when a child behaved in a strange way, we need to ask what happened to you instead. And I learned so much from it, and it helped me become a better teacher, trauma-informed teacher, and also help myself on a healing journey.
I love that because it takes away the onus on the student as if they've done something wrong.
Exactly.
But what happened to you, let's build on that and understand. Oh, that's wonderful. Number 3, if you had only one piece of music that you had to listen to, say you're on a deserted island, right? You don't have to listen to it over and over again till you're sick of it, but there's only one piece that you have on that island. Do you have a piece that you would listen to?
I think this is an unfair question because you're asking a musician,
Yes.
and a musician and a mathematician can kind of rearrange the question a little bit so that I turn it into a big piece instead of just a single piece. So I can say, well, I'm going to bring Bach's Well-Tempered Clavier, Book 1 and Book 2 with me. And then I've got 24 preludes and fugues on each book. And I can just have a wonderful time learning them again.
Roy, I think we have a problem solver. With
Yes,
today.
we do.
Well
We
done.
do. I love that. That is
Fantastic.
a problem-solving
So go ahead.
answer.
There you go.
Yes. Right. So could you now share a little bit about your journey, the journey that you were on that led you to teaching at Capilano University?
I would like to build on your story, how you were led to Japan and taught in Japan for 4 years. It was a miracle listening to that, totally just perchance, and how things lined up and you grabbed that opportunity. Same thing with me. In my situation, I had my PhD from the University of Pennsylvania in math. I was all lined up to do great research. I got a postdoctoral fellowship from NSERC and had my postdoc at the University of Waterloo until I got my first child in Waterloo. And at that time, life just took a totally different turn. Instead of totally focused on being a research mathematician, finding a professorship to do research and teaching at university, I quit everything and decided to bring the child back to Burnaby, where I have family support so that they can help me. And we as parents, my husband and I established a tutoring center, and we could teach while looking after our child ourselves. But that didn't last long on a restless mind, because by the time the second child was almost 2, I was going crazy as a stay-at-home mom. And so I reached out to my mentors, Dr. Palmer and Mrs. Palmer, who worked at SFU for a long time, professor of physics and a chemistry lab instructor. And I shared this case of a student who was struggling to get into SFU with a 100% final exam in math. At that time, we still had provincial final. And I went to them and said, what should I do with this student? And they said, where does the student live? I said, North Vancouver. And they right away said, go to Capilano University. That CAP at that time was CAP College. Yeah. It was the best place where they prepare the students with lab work and everything. And knowledge was great, and their students always do so well at SFU. And then right away I said, would that be a good place also for me to work? And they said, of course, you're going to love the people there. So that was August when I had the conversation with them. And in the end of August, I had my CV ready. I dropped it at CAP, and it was a Friday. Monday, I got a call. Come in for an interview. They happened to have one section ready for me to teach, and immediately I went in for the interview. I got the position as a sessional, and in less than a year, they turned me into a regular. I could not take a full-time load. It was only 50%, and I stayed around there for all my career there because I have small children, 3 kids I brought up, and our tutoring business. But it's just that chance. It's amazing opportunity for me to learn from other people, to have colleagues outside of home, and to expand my mind on what good teaching meant. Because at university, both in Ivy League school and in big universities, nobody was there to guide me to become a better teacher. But here at CAP, we took teaching so seriously that we would mentor new teachers. And so I just felt that I was extremely privileged to have the opportunity to learn from the best teachers.
Wow, that's great. Thank you for sharing.
And just if I can connect to that, because I went to CAP, it was CAP College, and for my first 2 years in 1984. And even then, I know the statistics show the students that went there for the first 2 years succeeded far better at SFU and UBC. And,
Yes.
and it's because those teachers, they cared about teaching.
Yes.
They were real teachers. They weren't just lecturers
No.
that had 100 kids in front of them, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you felt that the moment you walked in their door. So that's great to hear that's continuing.
35 students.
Yeah.
I always tell my students that they're getting $200,000 education at CAP while paying maybe less than 1/10 of that.
Yes.
Because in the States, where I got my grad degree, they were considered boutique universities, colleges. When you have small classes and teachers who care about the students, those universities are extremely expensive, not affordable, generally for Canadians.
Yeah.
And so this is a great news. It's just a gem that's waiting to be discovered.
I agree.
So was mathematics something that you were always good at, even as a child?
That's another story, because as a Taiwanese student, I had no idea what I was good at. I enjoyed learning everything. And in junior high, when we were all preparing for a senior high entrance exam to be placed on the best senior high school and so on, I thought I was extremely good at history and physics. So if I had a choice, I would have chosen those subjects to study at university. But the Taiwanese system usually would just put you in categories, and if I had gone through that system, they would have placed me in some medical school somewhere. It didn't matter that I didn't like medicine and I could not stand blood and I could not do shift work. They would still put me in that. But because of the immigration that my parents embarked on, after the Taiwanese government backed out of United Nations because Nixon recognized China.
Right.
My parents felt Taiwan was not safe and had to get the kids out. So when I arrived as a grade 9 kid, I was good at nothing. I thought I was advanced in English. I could parse extremely complex English sentences, but I could not speak and I could not understand a word. The only thing I could say was my telephone number and the address when the teacher gave me an interview. So since I became the dumbest in class, I had nothing except math. That was the only subject I excelled on. And the teachers had no idea what to do with this kid who's maybe around 2 years in advance of everybody else in BC math curriculum. So I was popular with my classmates. They all thought that I was a genius, finishing school homework in 5 minutes when they were still struggling after half an hour. And I went through 1 month in Lord Bin, 1 month in Musgrave, until they placed me in a good ESL program at that time in McPherson Burnaby. And there I met Mr. Mendez in grade 10 and grade 9, I think. And Mr. Mendez didn't know what to do with me because everything he was teaching I knew already. So he gave me contests. He gave me those math contests from Waterloo, and
The Gauss test. Yes.
Yes, at that time it was not Gauss anymore. I think grade 9, grade 10 it was something else.
Okay.
But they hadn't finally divided into grades yet. And so instead of learning math with a class, I was just sitting there figuring out these contest problems, and that was the first time I was faced with contest problems. I did not know that they could be so creative. They could mix all the math skills you learn, and very basic ones too, and make you think deeply. And at that time, I was struggling as an ESL student. So math with words was difficult. And I was learning English at the same time. And it was the best way to learn English well, because if you don't understand a math question, just by missing one word, you could miss the whole meaning. And that's how I came to love math, because I love solving those contest questions, purely per chance. And then of course, as from a Taiwanese family, parents expected that when you go to university, you would study something useful that you could make money on so that you could become independent, because we're first generation immigrants.
Yeah.
And I had to fight my parents to say, I really love math. Could I please study math? So finally they gave in. I got a chance to really think about whether I really want to study math. And my mentors, the Palmers, convinced me to participate in a semester in Budapest. At that time, it was still before 89. I went in 87, and that was before the wall came down.
Right.
So it was still behind the Iron Curtain,
Yes.
extremely closed, very difficult. But I had such a wonderful time, just have 1 semester doing nothing else but math.
Wow.
And that helped me decide that I really want to study math. It was just the joy of learning math.
Yeah. It must have been hard, though. I mean, I would imagine when you come with your parents and they feel they've sacrificed everything for you here. So you feel that pressure that, well, if they want me to become a doctor, I better do that, or a lawyer, right? So to stand up for that and go, no, I love math here.
Yes. But I think I'm also very lucky. I was a girl, and I was allowed more to choose what I wanted. Because a girl, they thought, well, okay, maybe somebody else would be able to take care of you. So, okay, if you study math and you can be independent and just make a living for yourself, you don't have that burden of feeding a family still. So I got away with it.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about Snap Math and what inspired you to bring it to Capilano University?
Yeah, that was a beautiful story, I felt. I was, from doing all those math contests, I became so involved that I was selected to become a member of the International Math Olympiad. So representing Canada, the Canadian Olympian. And because of that involvement, later on as a math instructor at CAP, I was approached by the Canadian Math Society contest division and said, would you be interested in coming to help train our potential math Olympians? So every year, Canada would choose 6 students, high school students, to represent Canada to compete internationally in Math Olympia. And this is International Math Olympiad. And since I participated it as a grade 12 student, they felt that I might be able to train them. And when I was training there, our team leader was a professor from University of Alberta who had lots and lots of experience in training these Olympians. He was hired by the USA Math Olympiad team. He participated in the Canadian one. And so when I was so excited working under him, learning so much from him, and I said, wow, can we do more for these contests students? And he said, actually, his passion was on bringing math to average students, to all students. And he told me this SNAP Math Fair, student-centered, non-competitive, all-inclusive, problem-based math fair, that he and some other mathematicians in Alberta founded. These are founders, and they wanted to bring this all over the world. There was nobody doing it in BC at that time, and he just chose me as ambassador and said, Lily, you've got to come to this SNAP Math Fair conference in Banff. So I went one year. I came back with this news. I said to my department, we have to do this. And the next year, I brought 2 colleagues from CAP and showed them that, yes, we want to participate. We're going back with a mission. Not only are we going to incorporate this math fair into our Math 190, so elementary school math education for our students, but we're going to help the Math Fair Foundation make a documentary. I'm going to involve our movie department, so the films department at CAP, and those students are going to come and shoot a documentary on how an instructor would get this started in our course to get our students to follow the timeline, put up the fair together with their puzzle, their questions, and fit it to a theme of that year, and then making the puzzle in different levels so that students can try easy, medium, hard without using those words. And then once we invite those elementary school students to come and visit, one of the schools would take that home and mount a math fair themselves for other students in the school to come. And we filmed that too. We filmed this entire process of teaching it in the university class, bringing it to the elementary school students, let them bring it back to their school, mount the fair themselves, and then share their impression and the reward that they get out of sharing. And it was just such an amazing experience looking at especially students who are afraid of math, who felt that they were not good at math, to completely engage in puzzle solving. And then afterwards said, was that math? And indeed, it was math. It was spatial logic, plain logic in words, or not number arithmetic. Arithmetic is not really math. That's a skill. Yeah. But thinking in all possible ways on how to solve a problem. And we're so happy that we can turn some understanding or prejudices against math. Yeah. That math is not about speed. It's not about how fast and how accurate you could be, but it's about thinking deeply and completely and enjoying the process.
When you were grade 9, Lily, way back, right? Yes. And you first come to Canada, and obviously, I mean, you sound like the experience was good, which must be, I mean, to come to a new country where you barely know the language, anxiety is certainly part of it, I would think, but you found math is your savior, from what I hear.
Yes.
But did you ever envision that it would lead to CAP University and this getting involved in this SNAP program? And you probably couldn't imagine that's where it would lead to. At the time, you just were good at it, I guess. And
Yeah,
Wow.
not at all. No,
Wow.
I just thought that I would become a research mathematician if I had the luck.
That's the journey of life, though, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't see where it's going to lead to, and you just
Yeah.
you have to go with it. And you went with, I guess, obviously something within you that you loved, and you were able to see that.
Yeah, I love to share. But I think I should not paint a too rosy a picture about my immigrant experience, because I want to let people know that in the first year for a new immigrant who had no language, that first year was hell.
I'm glad you're getting back.
glad,
because
yes.
because it sounded a little rosy, and I thought, I can't
Too
imagine
rosy.
what it was
Yes.
really like. And can I ask why?
Yeah, absolutely.
okay.
Because if you were treated in Taiwan as top of class genius, and then thrown into an environment where language was taken out of you. And remember, history was my favorite subject. It was based on language. And I had no language, and I could not appreciate anything the teachers were trying to teach. And on top of it, the classmates I had treated me as the dumb one, the dumber in the class. They would turn around, they would say, couldn't even do this, dictate simple words and so on. And that was really tough. I told my father I think after 1 year, I said, I want to go back. I don't want to stay here. And I'm glad they stuck to their guns and kept us there, because it became a wonderful experience. But wow, the first year for a teenager was tough.
You talk to any high school teacher, grade 9 is the worst anyway.
Oh.
Right?
Yes,
For you to
for
arrive,
girls.
for a girl to arrive at the age of that, oh my gosh, right?
Yes.
Even if you could speak English, it's still a horrible
Yes,
experience.
absolutely. I didn't know that.
Grade 8, grade 8 and 9.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah,
they're
that's so
they're
tough.
tough.
I mean,
Even if you speak English.
the brain is just
Cynicism, is it? The cynicism,
Yes,
the
yes.
attitude, the cliquey.
very
Yes,
cliquey.
so many things. What do you think should be at the heart of a strong elementary school mathematics program?
I remember thinking about that question, and I felt that I want to go back a step before answering the heart of a math program. I want to share how we remember our math journey. And in my case, I don't remember what I learned from my favorite teachers, but I remember my teachers. My teachers as inspirations, the favorite teachers who gave me these wonderful math lessons, who opened my mind and ignited that little flame of love for math. I just remember them as inspiration. They share their love. They're extremely humble. They are clear communicators, but you could always feel the passion behind it. So before we talk about the heart of a math program, we should address the people delivering it, that these teachers must be the teachers who love sharing, who love their students and love the subject. And if we have that, then we can now fine-tune the heart of the math program. It should be inquiry-based, and we should not worry about covering a curriculum, but instead turn everything into a story, because we are storied people. And share that math lesson in a story so that the students can build connection to the story and have their understanding built on something tangible. So that's how I would like to imagine our future math program to be. And to that end, I actually, during the pandemic, 2021-22, wrote a math textbook for our contemporary math course that's meant for people with no math background at Cap University. And this math textbook has 6 chapters covering subjects like problem solving, consumer math, geometry, data science, statistics and probability, and enumeration systems. And in that book, every chapter is a story.
Wow.
I teach math through story. And the rigor of that math is on the sidebar. But the whole chapter, say chapter 1 was about 3 students who are new to CAP U, and they're in orientation and trying to solve some problems, and how they share their background, and they're not detached from their family problems, things they're worried about, or they're concerned about aluminum mining in India for students from India, and all these things are connected. And I just want to show students that math is not detached from everyday world.
Well, and I love that, because I think that's one of the difficulties when math is taught. You say, okay, we're doing this. Okay, everything's compartmentalized, but the cross connections of subjects. So you have storytelling, whether it be mathematics from long ago in a story, and how the mathematics from 2,000 years ago is still relevant today. Then that starts making connections, neural pathways to looking at things other than just numbers. Yeah. And I think for me, one of the greatest things, I mean, when you think of numeracy and how that's built in as you grow, I spend a lot of times with my grandparents. We played tremendous number of card games. By 7 years old, I was playing euchre, cribbage. I was playing bridge.
Wow.
And my grandfather had this interesting way of
you lost your allowance all the time.
Yes. But it was my grandfather and my grandmother, and we would go to their cottage, and my brother and I, and we would play cards. And then my grandfather loved puzzles, so we were always playing puzzles and thinking. So then that's that cross-pollination of words and mathematics. Yeah. But he had this amazing thing where he had a lazy boy lounge chair, and he had some arthritis in his knees, but I swear he would be, when he knew we were coming to the cottage, he would take change from his change purse and drop it down the sides of his lazy boy lounger
For you to find.
And then my brother and I would run to the door and burst through the door, and we'd go right to the lazy boy chair, and he would get up, and we would run our hands underneath the cushions, and we'd get all of this change, and we'd put it out. Wow. And then he'd say, well, how much do you have? And then we would count the money and say, oh, we have $4. He said, what do you think you could buy with that? And then there would always be a trip from the cottage into this small town in southwestern Ontario, and we would take our change. And he would make sure, and he would be with us. He would be standing on his cane, and we would pick what we wanted to buy, and he would not let us just put the change on the counter. He said, "You count it out." Wow! And so so it didn't feel like math.
No.
But it was all this numeracy that was in my life, just in a joyful, recreational way.
Yeah.
And I think that is a large portion of my love of mathematics, because when I started seeing the problem solving, I had a skill set. I could run it through my mind, right? I had the experience. And so what you're talking about is making those connections from life. Yeah. It's so important.
Yeah. Oh, I love that story. I'm going to be a grandma first time. This February. So
like
in a month.
Wow.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing all those tips from your grandpa. I'm going to use that. I'm a quick study.
But I like that. I mean, I think you recognize too that it's about those connections, because Roy and I have talked about the way we teach, and we've seen teachers that they understand the curriculum like you wouldn't believe, but they forget about the foundation of the class, about the connections with their students, making them feel comfortable doing those kind of activities. So they come in and they could deliver the most amazing lesson ever, but they haven't built that first. And I think you do. And I wonder, thinking of the fact you spent 9 years in the the Taiwanese education system, and then the last 3 years in the public education system in Canada. Do you think maybe you made the perfect blend of the two? Because they both have strengths, right?
They do.
And maybe that
They do.
you were a positive example of bringing those together, right? Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with you. I agree with you on the strength, but I think the harm done by the Taiwanese education system also took many years, to fix.
Right. Okay.
But the Canadian freedom to choose what you love to study, and freedom of time, that we were not so overburdened by study that I had to sleep with my light on and make sure I don't sleep more than 4 hours. I had to get up and do all these crazy practice. That caused this permanent damage in me that I could never sleep enough after I got out of Taiwan.
Yes. What do you see as the biggest impediment to an effective classroom mathematics program? Like the thing that stops people from really succeeding and delivering what you aspire to and teach your students at CAP?
I want to let everybody know that I did not get an education degree, and I would not be able to confidently share my theoretical knowledge because I did not have any. But I could address what I saw that was wrong. When the students come to us at Cap University in a math class, my first job is to take away their fear. That impediment was built from childhood, where mathematics was a perfect subject in telling a kid what they did wrong, because there is right and wrong.
Yes.
And so if they're unlucky and have parents or uncles or teachers who treated math as a subject to punish students for doing something wrong, then they come to us with great anxiety and fear. That's the first thing I want to take away. I would like teachers to stop treating it as a right or wrong answer, but students do need to learn, and sometimes they do get a wrong answer, and I never say that's a wrong answer. With my students or with my own children, small children, when they give me something that's not right, I always say, instead of wrong, I say, let's check. Let's check. You propose that this is the answer. Well, this is how we can check. Well, does that work out? And if not, we actually learn something great from a mistake. I always ask my students to look at the mistake and see how you can adjust your answer to make it right.
Yeah.
And so that is great impediment. That's a fear. That's a psychological damage to the student. The second thing is about the right answer in the back of the book. I want to let my students know that there are tons of ways of solving a question.
Yes.
A math problem is very creative. You can address it in many different ways, come from many different directions, and from many different approaches and methods. So show me your way. You can do trial and error, you can test, you can set up a table, you can use manipulatives, and you can bring your life experience into it. But my students came to me thinking there is one right answer in the back of the book. And if I don't get the answer in the back of the book, then I am wrong. And I said, no, you're not wrong. If you can explain your logic to me and I understand it, that's right.
Yeah.
And I encourage that. So show me many different methods of solving a problem.
Don't you think there's a bit of a badge of honor in a place like Canada where people say, I'm just not good at math? You know, it's almost like it's so accepted. I would have parents come in and say, oh, my son's bad at math, and me too, right? And they just...
It's hereditary.
Right? So the wall is up, and now their whole life, they're thinking, I'm just not good at it. I just, like you would never say that I just can't read, I'm not good at reading. You would never accept that for something else. But in math, I find it just seems to be an acceptable response.
Yeah, that's a great puzzle for mathematicians, and the math departments in Canada all over are trying to figure out how to change this culture. And SFU had this changing the culture with UBC, collaboration with the UBC and PIMS, this changing the culture annual conference to talk about how we can change that attitude among the teachers, the parents, the students. And I wonder if it's a settler mentality where people we're protecting women. I think it's even worse for women, for
Yeah,
girls.
yes, it is.
Girls can't do math,
I think
and
you're
we're
absolutely
protecting
right,
our fairer sex.
Right.
But I don't think that's true anymore, because I see math majors in universities now having about 50-50, or
Yes.
sometimes even more female students.
really is.
Female engineers have
Yeah.
really
Taken off.
surpassed in numbers male engineers in Canada.
That's really amazing. So I think what we need to work on more is on the parents and the students young.
Yeah.
That there is no math gene. It is true that
But they say it, yeah.
that talents in math and music are easy to spot when the kid's small. Unfortunately, that doesn't carry you very far.
No.
It's a lot of other factors:
Yeah.
perseverance, discipline,
10,000
motivation.
hours, right?
Yeah, all those things.
Yeah.
So I think our job is to help the teachers know that, like doctors, do no harm. Please don't do any harm to the students. We want them to love math, and do not ever let them think they're not good at math.
Teachers use a wide range of resources. Sometimes they're using textbooks, sometimes they're not. They're also using resources that they've purchased from, like, Teachers Paid Teachers. They've created their own materials. But from your perspective, what role should resources play in shaping instruction?
I feel here it depends on every teacher. Teaching is such a creative vocation. Every teacher comes with the teacher's personality, creativity, and characteristic. If you allow the teacher to choose, all that stuff is wonderful, and each teacher will be able to come up with a good combination of those, knowing the students. Like, it's not just the teacher, but it's also each class of students require different types of teaching. So I trust the teachers completely, but I also think that we need a longer mentorship. It is not enough to give them 1 or 2 years of education and training and just let them off on their own, because teaching is an apprentice type of job. You need to guide them and show them that there are so many different situations that an experienced teacher can share. And so teachers like you, retired teacher, should mentor people.
Yeah.
And we should help guide our teachers so that they feel more supported. And less alone in figuring out this teaching.
Yeah, it's one of the few professions where on day one you're doing the same as you would 30 years later, right? You're expected
Yes.
to, right? You're just thrown in, off you go, right?
Yes.
1 year or 2 years at university, here, right? Start teaching mathematics. So,
And totally.
So to me, a more gradual mentorship kind of thing that kind of led to more of that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I also feel that my teaching changed too over the 25 years.
If it didn't, there's something wrong, right? It
we
should
learn.
change.
Yeah,
we do
absolutely.
learn. And you spend your career just trying to get there, right?
Yes.
Trying to be the best you can be.
Yes, absolutely.
Now when you talk about resources, do you think sometimes we can depend on technology too much? And is that a worry of yours going forward with AI and other things? Like, it may have its place, but what do you see as some of the danger lurking there?
Yes. When I joined Capilano, CAP was the first university to openly use the graphing calculator. And my mentor, Ted Bentley, who was the coordinator of the math department at that time, shared with me how they used it. They show the students how this graphing calculator can help us have visual understanding of how a graph changes just from slight changes on the function. And so he really changed my mind about technology. I want the best for our students, and I am not afraid of technology, but I would like the teachers to know how to use it for their benefit and their students' benefit, and not to harm the student. So in my next book that I will embark on from September, I have another paid ed leave where I want to write a textbook for math education. Teaching teachers how to use technology, including AI, to help them teach better and how to help them address extremely gifted students who should not stay with the rest of the class. They should keep exploring. Technology can help with that. Or students who are weaker, who need extra practice. Technology can also help with that. So I would like to give teachers all these options so that they can do their best in addressing all different levels, the diversity of a class, and still allowing students to find how to use technology to help them learn and what's not good for the students to have. So I think people needs to curate it, and somebody needs to help.
I think that's the important part. We don't. We suddenly jump on it. We're using it. We haven't really thought about how to use it effectively. And it's okay when it's a tool, but when it becomes the cognitive ability of your own brain that's been replaced by the technology, there's something.
Good.
Well, why? Right?
Yeah.
That's where you. I don't have to think now. Here's the answer. That is when we have to think and take a breath.
That's right.
Yeah.
So let me give you the example of calculators. We grew up in the time where calculators were not around. We learned mental math. Like your grandfather made you do all these mental math to know the change. When calculators came into education, students in high school needed calculators to do some complex arithmetic. Then all of a sudden, elementary school teachers might feel, well, eventually they're going to use calculators anyway. Why do we bother teaching long division?
Yep. Yes.
But if you are not educated enough in mathematics to see the whole journey of math education, you wouldn't know that somewhere in grade 11 they're going to need this long division for polynomial division. And then you said, well, that's going to be taken over by computer algebra. So your graphing calculator will be powerful enough to do that. You don't need to learn that. But then you don't know that in university calculus, you're going to need this technique in order to do partial fractions in integrals. That's second semester calculus. So I think we should not take away this ability of numeracy from our students. We need to let them know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide quickly, because math education now knows that if students do not have this automaticity, automaticity means you look at the numbers and you can see the sum or the difference, product and quotient quickly. If you don't have that ability, you can't progress to the next level.
Yes.
And so we cannot ever say mental math is not important. That's important in its place. But we are not going to drill the kids, poor kids, 3-digit multiplication. It's not necessary to do 3-digit multiplication just for the sake of demonstrating that you know the theory of multiplication. But you do need to know the basics.
Yes. My wife teaches kindergarten, and she always talks about the importance. I think it's called supetize, where you the kids can right away. If you throw out 5 things, they know it's 5, right? You don't have to sit and count. And
That's hard.
And if you don't have that level of numeracy, the understanding that I can say, I used to love playing this game with my students. I'd start with 2 dice, and I said, okay, we'd have a competition. I said, you against Mr. Hunt, who's 6 times older than you. 1, 2, 3, go. I'd throw it down, and I'd get the number before them. They go, oh, how did you do that? I said, because as soon as they go down, I can visualize it. I can see the number. I can say 3 and 4 are 7, and I can see that. And when you can get to that point, and then you start seeing sums of numbers, and you say, oh, then your estimation becomes better too. You can estimate, because if you can't do that automated task of seeing, finding the sum of numbers as an example, and then you're punching numbers into a computer. I believe that it used to be a computer or a calculator. I think one of the terms they used was garbage in, garbage out, right? And so when you get the number that comes out, if you have no idea or a mathematical sense, then you say, oh yeah, that's got to be it. And then you say, the calculator was wrong. So it's building in that numeracy, building in, so then you can get a good estimate of what the number is. Maybe you don't have to come up with this exact thing to 7 decimal points.
No.
But you can say that based on the numbers, based on my knowledge,
Yes.
that seems to be a reasonable answer.
Absolutely.
At least.
Yes, and I ask my students for that too. This is building intuition, I call it. That before they put it in the calculator, just have a feel of what you're expecting out of the calculator.
Yes.
So that the calculator does not scam you.
You never know. Right?
Scammed by a calculator.
Yes.
How can teachers balance the development of procedural fluency with deep conceptual understanding? So we have this thing we want to get the procedural, step 1, step 2, step 3, but we want to get that deep understanding so that it's not just a procedure, that you actually understand that this answer is right. But how do we get our students to see that? Because oftentimes, especially, it's a superficial understanding of mathematics, or this times this.
Yes.
But, it's like saying 3 times 4.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, I know that's 12. But if I show you an array,
Yes.
right,
Yes,
and you
that's so
use the
beautiful.
array,
Yes.
then when you understand those two connections, I think you have a deeper understanding
Yes.
of how to get there.
Yes.
And then there's a transference
Yes.
of knowledge that goes on to the next level.
Yes. I feel understanding is always more important than the practice, the strategy. And to me, there's one more step to understanding. We need to understand that students learn in different ways, and sometimes your way of explaining this may make sense for you, but the student may not get it. And I would like teachers to be equipped with many different ways of explaining a deep understanding. And that if a student couldn't get it in one way, you have in your pocket so many other ways to reach the student. So understanding is the first, whenever possible. For example, sometimes things are just a little difficult for the students at that level. And we need to say, well, you need to wait until you're in high school before you can understand this. That's fair. But once you have understanding, then if students who come in different levels, abilities, cannot get the proficiency of the strategy or the procedure in class, then we should not give up on those students. Those students should use more time at home to work up that proficiency. What I see at university for those students struggling in math is that they give up too early, or somebody gave up on them when they were in elementary school. If they're slower and they did not get to the proficient level, then they didn't do anything about it at home either. And here's a time where we can rethink our education program in elementary school. My husband's Danish, and where he came from, they understood that there are some subjects who would require more time in the classroom timetable, and some other subjects who could take less time. And if we just give equal time to all the subjects, then some students are going to suffer. They suffer by working on the subjects on their own at home, or the parents had to hire tutors in order to help them catch up at school. So if we can rethink the timetable to allow subjects that require more time, this time in school, then I believe that students are going to benefit, and teachers and families too.
Now, Roy and I both have participated in the SNAP fairs at Kaplan University. We brought our classes there. And what advice would you give to any listeners that wanted to start that kind of SNAP fair idea in their classroom? How they can go about having their students create these great projects that are problem-solving based?
So I was the lone crusader in the beginning, trying to talk to all the teachers who brought their classes in a special side room that they could do it too in their class. And And many teachers worry. They say, well, we've got this curriculum we have to cover. How could we possibly find time to do this big project? It's a big project. And we try to make them see that, oh, it's not extra time. It's actually all part of the curriculum. Tell me what you want to teach. Are you trying to teach recycling, or do you want to teach history or civics, like election, or what do you want to teach? That's combine those things, or science. So we could combine different topics in one Snap Math Fair. Let me give you an example. If this year's theme was literature, then some of my students might be doing a Harry Potter theme in their puzzle, or Alice in Wonderland or Narnia, and all these books that students might have read could come into their Snap Math Fair. They invent wonderful puzzles for their friends to play, and they think about how to design puzzles, because they only get a puzzle, and the puzzle comes in one puzzle, not different levels. But if you can see deep understanding, if a student can take a puzzle and design something easier and something harder in that theme, then that's not just problem solving, it's also creative, critical thinking.
Yeah. I'm having a bit of deja vu here, because I think I was one of those teachers who you talked to. Now it's all coming back to me.
Yeah. So we met a long time ago.
We did, and I think I followed through. I did.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, we love to hear those success stories that you actually did it.
We put on a whole fair for the school. We did.
My God.
Yeah. It was great. Thank you.
You're the ambassador.
Yes. We had a math night at Ridgeway Elementary School.
Wow.
It invited the entire community, and our students in grade 7 were the facilitators of it, and they had little packages. It was very it was a staff initiative, so it was very labor intensive.
Yeah,
but we had playing cards and we had dice, and we just worked on a variety of puzzles and games that included parents and the students of the school, and it was a tremendous. A tremendous night of inspiration, and a tremendous night for parents to see, coming to the classroom and to see the kinds of things that are connected to mathematics, because a lot of them, all they see is the homework that that their kids bring home, and they look at the challenges that, I don't remember this. Math has changed. Well. The numbers are still the same.
1 + 1 is 3.
So math hasn't changed. The approach to math is different.
Yes.
And so,
it is.
Anyways, it's those opportunities, because I think there's a disconnect where the students are struggling and they need some extra work, because I think you're right. There's certain subjects that are more require more time, especially for people who process differently or need a little more time.
Yes, and that's
and as a result of that, when they go home, their parents go, well, I don't know. And then what's the first thing they look for? Look for the answer key in the book. Now, and I always think, because they said, well, I have to find the answer. Well, if you do find the answer, but you can work backwards, that's problem solving. Right? So then you can see it, because sometimes, people, bakers deconstruct bread or pastries, and they taste it. So, there's some vanilla in there, and I can taste that spice in there. And so when you can deconstruct, then you're problem solving. But I think it made it a fun night. The parents and the children actually had fun doing math, probably for the first time in a long time.
That's so sad, when it should be a lot of fun for everybody. Yeah, and I think that's a culture we want to change.
It is.
To make it fun.
So I guess our next question is, how can we help teachers to be more confident and make more informed decisions about their math programs?
if we could make all our students love learning and keep their childlike curiosity, then we have done a great job. And those for our teachers too. So when I think of our teachers, I think knowledge is in addition to love. So we're just assuming that everybody comes with this passion for teaching. Then you cannot have passion on nothing. So we need to prepare our teachers sufficiently so that they can have confidence in their ability to handle any kind of math question the students may have. And some of the students are very curious. And when I was working with the people from University of Alberta and other colleges in Alberta, I was really surprised by that Alberta teachers, future prospect teachers, had to have at least 2 math courses before they become elementary school teachers. And in BC, we had only 1, and we could not change that. It was very, very difficult in the ministry to just add 1 more course to help our teachers feel more confident. Now, suppose math is not for everybody, and we can't force everybody to have 2 math courses, but then the U.S. solution in around year 2000 was that, okay, that's fine. Then from grade 4 on, please give us specialty teachers. Please give us teachers who have a math degree, so they love math and they also love teaching. Could they please come to the classroom and share that with our students? Then our students would not grow up being afraid of math and thinking that they are no good at math. They are going to learn from the teacher that math is fun and I can do math. And math is not a race. Even if I am a slower thinker, I might be a careful thinker, and that's a wonderful thing. So don't worry about speed. Please remember to think of math as a place where we can jump off. It's a jumping board onto many different topics. And if you don't apply it, it's a simple joy just to learn.
Yes. Yeah. Now, how do we focus that learning on today's class of 2026, which we try to reach all learners? You know, diversity is the key.
Yes.
So how do you bring this program in that includes everyone at their level or whatever, you know, issue they're dealing with or whatever the background they're coming with, wherever they come from?
Yes.
How do we address that?
I would like to bring us back to the story, that story that everybody brings in to the classroom, not just the teacher's story, but the student's story. So if you know your students well and you know their story, then the diversity is a strength. And we look at those kind of stories and build our math lesson around it. So I believe that even with diversity and different levels of ability, we can address math for everyone. Technology is our friend. So use technology wisely in addition to all the story building, connection building, and then we can add in joy of math.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to what you said earlier about the foundation of the class and dealing with the connections with everyone, right?
Yes.
Making sure understanding that first before you worry about delivering a program, right? Then the story can be played out, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what message would you like to share with teachers about the long-term impact of a strong elementary school math program?
Wow. I am at the receiving end of most of the time what things don't work. So I have a lot I want to say about that. I think we should help our teachers know what they know and what they don't know, and what good math teaching could look like. Math is so deep. I want to give you an example of multiplication. A grade 3 child who just started multiplication, and the example that Roy supplied, how 3 times 4 can be seen as an array in a box. then you connected that 3 times 4 multiplication already to the area of a rectangle. And then from there, when our teachers are well equipped and have a deep understanding of math, the next question is, how many different rectangles can you design that have the same area of 12? Mm-hmm. And if you only stick to integer, this is that many. But some kids might start drawing you something smaller and it has half for one side. And now all of a sudden you have an infinite number of rectangles that has this area, 12. And then how about, let's look at the perimeter. What happened to the perimeter when the area stays the same, but some of them get longer and longer and perimeter gets very big? And now you get into calculus. The limit can be infinite perimeter with the same area. And then you think about, let's get the perimeter involved. What shape will give you the shortest perimeter? If you only have a piece of rope, then which shape would you like to form that gives you the biggest area? And now you're into calculus maximization and so on. But all that is not possible if the teacher doesn't come with this knowledge of math. And that's why I say in the heart of a good math program, we want a teacher with a wonderful math understanding, math education. Then this teacher can share this flexibility, the adaptability. A student is going in that direction, I follow it. I let them explore. And you have all these extra questions that you can supply to make the student stay interested. But a student is struggling on this area. I can give you tons of the same thing, different numbers, different pictures, but building on that area. So we need creativity and adaptability, flexibility in our teachers to implement a strong math program.
And before we wrap up, just one final question. I always think that to be successful, it has to be baby steps. We can't have people change things overnight to achieve the classrooms you want, which are just, that's the direction to go. So if teachers reflected on one aspect of their teaching program in math, what would you like them to think about? If they could just tomorrow, they're in the classroom, what should they think about to go forward and improve and address the learners in the ways you talk about?
I would like to take the fear of math away. Okay. I think that's the first thing. If we can remove the word WRONG from our math teaching, there is no more wrong. It is an incorrect answer, don't say that either. But from now on, phrase a question instead to make our students think, have you tried this answer? Let's test it. Let's check if the answer is right. So if we can take that fear away, I think we have done a great thing. That's our baby step.
Fantastic.
Wow. Dr. Yan, it has been an absolute pleasure having this discussion with you. And I love how you shared your personal background and then brought us right up to this point in time where even for us as retired teachers, I learned something today.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's really what a lot of it is, and that's being a lifelong learner. And you seem to be in that category as a lifelong learner. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was brilliant.
Yeah, thank you very much for making the time to listen to me. I have enjoyed it tremendously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Another great guest on After the Bell, Dr. Lily Yan. It was really, really enjoyable.
It was great. It reminds me that we should make sure that we tell our listeners about Snap Math. Those people who are listening from the North Shore, Capitol University offers that Snap Math program. It is amazing. Make sure that teachers take advantage of that.
Yeah, and we're gonna list her textbook. We're gonna make a connection.
Yes, she offered us.
Yeah, so that will be
textbook
found on our stuntbrothers.ca website.
Yeah.
Right, we're gonna curate a bunch of links on. We're gonna start a new page on stuntbrothers.ca. Friday freebies. Friday freebies,
okay.
Right? So we're going to start with curating some of the stuff because we know sometimes you go out there looking for math resources and it's overwhelming, right, on the internet. So we're going to start listing some ones that we've used or things or games that we've had that you go to stuntbrothers.ca and you know they've been Stunt Brothers approved, right?
Oh, it sounds like work.
But if you don't like it, don't blame us. But the great resource will be Dr. Lily Yen's actual textbook. And within her textbook, she has so many other links as well.
Yes.
So it's a valuable resource.
It's amazing. She produced this book as an ebook,
Yeah.
and she's given us basically an electronic copy of it that we can share with everybody.
And we will have it up on the website. And we really encourage all listeners who are in the classroom teaching to share it among your staff, because I think many people will find this a useful resource.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so useful talking to Dr. Lily Yen. And my cold has made it this far. Luckily, when we actually had the interview, I was healthy as anything.
Yes.
It's now that I'm adding this afterwards that it's coming on. So I think that's where we kind of wrap it up.
I think we will wrap it up now.
I say to listeners, stay healthy, stay fit, look after yourself, and we'll talk to you again on After the Bell. This podcast is organic, taking shape with each episode. Building resiliency for teachers everywhere.
That sounds great.
And our website is stuntbrothers.ca.
That's stuntbrothers.ca.
We will chat again.
After the bell.